Dan?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, bud?
I'm with you. I got a little cough myself. I don't know what it is.
I think it's that
New Jersey weather.
that wild change in temperature. It was about 68 degrees the other day. So
Yeah.
so tell us about Pin Cancer and how it all got started for you.
Yeah, sure. Being a former wrestler out of Kittatinny and, wrestling in college, when I graduated college, somebody gave me the idea. Actually, one of my buddies was involved with a sister organization called Red Car Cancer, and they're, focused with soccer. And he said, hey, you're still involved with wrestling. It's a tight-knit community, and why don't you do the same thing with wrestling? So we kind of brainstormed and came up with the name Pin Cancer, and it all started here in New Jersey. And, we started local up here in North Jersey, going to some matches and selling T-shirts and stuff. And, fast forward 5 years later, we're, a national organization that, last year we pulled in just under 200,000 in donations. And did I ever think it was going to get this big? No, but it's been fun. And, we love to see it grow, especially, make its way down to South Jersey this year with Egg Harbor Township.
Now, this has a personal side for you, right? Was it your mother who was affected by cancer?
Yeah, so right after college, I got the news that my mom had been diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. And once I got the news, I was already in the process of kind of starting this nonprofit, but we didn't really do much with it. I think we had a Facebook page at the time. But when I got that news, I was affected. I'm one of those people now that were affected firsthand, and I can understand it. So I took it a lot more personal, and it just motivated me to say, all right, this isn't just an idea anymore. I'm going to go out and actually do something. And like I said, we started local, and my mom was a huge supporter. She would come to a lot of the events. Unfortunately, she passed away about 2 years ago. But every day, I see more and more wrestlers getting involved with this program, and I think it's just a great avenue for these kids to give back. And it's really about the wrestlers doing it. It's not so much the parents. Because, we set up a program online where kids can sign up or create their own fundraising pages, and we're giving them the avenue to kind of be the voice for themselves and make a difference rather than asking for flat donations. These guys are going out, they're creating their fundraising pages, and they're sharing them online, but they're also asking for sponsors for every pin or win that they record on a season, and that's how they're raising money.
We're talking with Dan Tramontozzi from Pin Cancer, former high school wrestler out of North Jersey, Kittatinny. Dan, as a wrestler, you're used to taking on challenges. It's such a tough sport. You're always challenging yourself to make weight, to be better at your skills, all that kind of stuff. How big of a challenge was this for you in terms of a life moment? Your mother getting stricken with cancer. It's easy to kind of go into a shell and feel sorry for yourself, but you chose to go the opposite route and really reach out and try to get people involved in what you're doing with Pin Cancer.
Yeah, I think it translates pretty well with the sport. I've been wrestling since about third grade. I wrestled in, at Kittatinny at the time. We were pretty good. I think we finished my senior year. We were ranked 9th in the country, and I think the sport teaches you so much. And we've seen a huge response out of wrestlers that are really, that were in the same boat with me. Last year, one of the wrestlers that raised the most money was a 8-year-old out of Missouri, and his mom just beat breast cancer. So, a lot of times it's the parents that get a hold of, get wind of our organization online or however it may be. But these kids are motivated. They know what it takes to, go to practice every day. And if you're not that good, you get beat up. I got beat up until about 7th grade until I finally said, hey, I'm going to start training, more. And I think that's kind of the same thing that, I applied the toughness and just the discipline that I learned with this sport. And I turned it into, this nonprofit, but it's a business, and that's what I went to school for, and I enjoy doing it every day. But that translation, or that, it's there. Business is very similar to, the sport of wrestling, or I think any sport for that matter. You look at guys like Mark Cuban, he has a book, the sport of business, and you have to pretty much fight out there like there's somebody trying to beat you every single day, and that's what it's like in wrestling. And I think that helped me start this organization and grow it.
Dan, what was the biggest challenge for you when you first started? Obviously, it's great to have an idea, and in the beginning, you're like, oh, yeah, this sounds pretty cool. But then you realize, okay, there's a lot of things I have to do to make this successful. what was the biggest challenge when you first got started in terms of getting the name out there, getting people to understand what you were trying to do?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge was, you said it, getting the name out there and kind of getting us out there in front of people. And it was a lot of work on our end. Like I said, going to a lot of local events. Over the years, we've been out to like the NCAAs, and we've had tables set up down in great Atlantic City at Boardwalk Hall, which is, such an exciting atmosphere. But I mean, that's what we had to do. I think that was the biggest challenge. And we've been around now for about 5 years, and there still is a lot of people that, wrestlers that don't know about us. So every day we're trying to come up with new ways. How do we get people, how do we get them to see our organization and get them involved? But, from starting the actual business to the nonprofit aspect to generating revenue to being able to donate money, it's been a really exciting adventure. And I think I love the challenge. I think that's, like I said, the same thing with wrestling. I think if you wrestle, you love the sport. Wrestlers are very passionate about it, and I think you have to be passionate about anything you do in your life, and that's kind of what we're doing with Pin Cancer.
We're talking with Dan Tramontozzi, former Kittatinny wrestler who now runs Pin Cancer. It's a great organization, raises money for cancer research and awareness. Dan, how cool was that to go down to the state championships at Boardwalk Hall and kind of get? That's a great way to get your name out there. You're talking about thousands of people that weekend coming down to Atlantic City to enjoy the state championships, and that's got to be a great venue for you.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome venue. It's a lot of fun. I think the last time we were down there, we ran into Frankie Edgar, South Jersey guy, and right away I grabbed him. We threw a shirt on him, and he took a picture with us. So, when we reach out to a lot of wrestlers or former wrestlers, and if you go on our site, you'll see some of our ambassadors or, Olympic and NCAA champions, and not one of them has said no when we contact them. Brett Metcalf is one guy. Kendall Cross is another guy. At one point, Cale Sanderson reached out to us and, was showing his support of a local coach that was diagnosed with cancer in Pennsylvania. So it's awesome to be at these events. The energy is, and just the wrestling, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and this year is really exciting because high school wrestling for New Jersey is all over the map. You thought some of these teams that were going to beat other teams or not, they're getting upset, which makes the sport a lot more fun to watch. I think the same is on the college level right now. But going back to your question, like Boardwalk Hall, I've been to a lot of venues and a lot of state tournaments, and that's got to be the best. I mean, I think we did a post on our Instagram, and we have over 20,000 followers, and we posted what's the best high school state wrestling venue, and Boardwalk Hall just blew everybody out of the water. Everybody just voted for, this is the coolest atmosphere. It's the coolest location. And obviously when you factor in the talent of these guys that are coming out of New Jersey, faced with other guys in the country, I mean, it's second to none. I mean, you can maybe argue Pennsylvania and maybe Iowa or Ohio, but wrestling in New Jersey has always been, top 2, top 3 in the country, which makes it, so much fun.
Dan, who's the toughest guy you ever wrestled?
I actually had to wrestle Cale Sanderson's little brother, Tyler, in, I think, the second round at Senior Nationals out in Ohio. And throughout my high school career, I was never teched actually, I was pinned one time, and I picked the worst time to get pinned. It was the state semifinal.
Wow.
And it was a tied match. Yeah, but, that's life, and you get over it, and, you fall back, and I took third. So, no, but Kyler was definitely probably one of the toughest wrestlers. He tore me up. I think it was like 2-1 after the first, and then I went down, which was a mistake, and he hurt my ribs a little bit, turned me a couple times, but and then as well, one of my biggest nemesis here in New Jersey, he was in my districts, my regions, and that was Dan Valmont. But he was a 2-time state champ. He went on to be an NCAA finalist out of Penn State. But it's cool to see those guys coming from local areas, and today I still talk to them, and we're friends. So it was a rivalry throughout high school. And then once we kind of hit college, we didn't wrestle each other anymore. And now we kind of, he's growing the sport. He's still wrestling right now. So it's cool to see that. And, yeah.
Cool. Dan, we're up against the break, but before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give out your information. If there's people listening that are interested in getting involved with Pin Cancer, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and visit pinkcancer.org. And there's a lot of cool buttons on that site. You'll be able to create your own pages, learn more about the organization, and then follow us on pretty much any social media platform at Pin Cancer.
Awesome. Good stuff, Dan. I appreciate you taking a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good weekend, buddy.
You too. Bye.
That was Dan Tramontozzi, former Kittatinny, outstanding wrestler. He now runs Pin Cancer, which is a really cool nonprofit that raises money for cancer